So Chris Boyce at CBC. Here we are.
Hello, good
How are
morning.
you?
Good.
Thank you for coming to talk to us about the future of radio. And I just wanted to ask you straight out a beginning question. Is digital relevant?
Can you even argue the other side of that question? Yeah, of course it's relevant. And I think, sometimes I think in the business we get wrapped up in the, is it broadcast, is it digital, which one is more relevant, which one is more important, where do we put our investment? I think, the point of view that I would take, and the point of view I think we're taking as we develop our strategy is, we create content, and we reach consumers with that content. Some of that consumption is going to be on traditional broadcast platforms, some is going to be on digital platforms, some is going to be working with partners, some is going to be distributing in ways that we can't even imagine. But ultimately, it's about the experience for the audience and connecting with the consumer. And I think, obviously, digital is worthwhile to me because it opens up huge new opportunities in terms of how you connect with consumers. And I think a huge problem that the broadcast industry had for a number of decades is we became so obsessed in conventional broadcast distribution, and was satellite radio going to kill broadcast, and which it didn't, was radio going to be dead, which is not, and we became so obsessed with the technical infrastructure that delivered the product that we actually forgot what's at the heart of radio, which is content and the intimate connection that people have with that content.
Do you believe that if you engaged through other ways with the audience, so social or email or live or any other digital means, and that engagement based on numbers, based on data, is strong, right? Your properties on Facebook and Twitter and wherever else are going bananas. You're achieving your goal. Should that lead to more ratings, or do you care?
Should it lead to more broadcast ratings? I don't care. To me, it is
mission
about
accomplished.
The mission is to engage people in the place that they want to be engaged or are willing to be engaged. So if I go back 5 years, and let's just, look at the music space because it's a more contained example, the only metric that really mattered to us was how many people were listening to Radio 2, right? Today, if I look at how we're doing in the music space, I look at how we're doing on Radio 2, how many people visit CBC Music every month. I look at how many people attend the CBC Music Festival or live events that we put on. I look at how many millions of views, video views we do on YouTube. I look at what our reach is on Sirius XM. I look at how many people watch, CBC Music Backstage Pass, our TV show on CBC television. To me, that's cumulative engagement across platforms. I don't really care where they are. And we had this debate internally a couple of years ago of, okay, well, maybe if they're watching your video on YouTube, they're not going to watch the show on TV. That's ridiculous. People watch stuff on YouTube because they're in the YouTube environment and they're looking for content. I don't believe that success, in one platform is at the expense of the other. Now, if because they're in our ecosystem and they enjoy CBC Music content and they buy into the brand, and because they watch the TV show and watch our stuff on YouTube and go to the festival, they listen to more Radio 2, that's great. But I don't, and anything I could do to maximize consumption across platforms, we're going to do. But the end result is not using those platforms for the sole purpose of getting more broadcast consumption. It's about increasing connection and engagement across all of the platforms that we're in. And I think for us, increasingly, that's our own platforms, but it's also the platforms of partners. And I think there's an interesting shift happening in that companies a year or two ago that we would have considered competitors, now would consider partners, and I think that's part of that strategy of how do you engage with people in the places those people are.
Right. Who else is doing it well, do you think? It doesn't have to be locally, it could be anywhere in the world.
I think you're increasingly seeing some players who develop a presence on YouTube and then expand it out. I think probably, to be honest, the company in the world today that I think does multi-platform content brand the best and is the most seamless in the execution is Vice. Right, and if I look back to reading Vice 20 years ago as a newsprint, rag put out by some kids in in Montreal, and I look at Vice today, with multi-million-dollar investment from some of the biggest media brands in the world, now on every platform imaginable. The one thing about Vice that is consistent from the print product 20 years ago to the Vice of today is the voice. So there is an authentic voice and style that really hasn't changed or wavered over that 20 years. It's probably a little more acceptable to the multi-million-dollar investors today. It's a little less raw, but I think the style and the ethos of what Vice is hasn't changed, and I think that's why they're really good, right? There is something credible and authentic there, and even if the company has gone from being a bunch of guys living a wild life, doing something for fun, to being a huge multimedia conglomerate, the fact is they've managed to keep the voice and the consumer offer consistent, and I think that's the opportunity of a multi-platform content brand, is to have an authentic, well-defined voice that travels across all the platforms that you work on and that you connect with consumers on.